Hello. The FCC, or the Federal Communications Commission, is a government body that basically decides what can and cannot be communicated through media. Now, social media is completely different. It doesn't, that's privately owned by companies. But over the radio, it has jurisdiction. And in the laws that FCC has put down for radio communications, it has a one for obscene material. And it uses a 3-prong test to basically decide if something is obscene or not. And one of these is that provides no literary, artistic, scientific, or political value. So, I'm going to give you my favorite YouTubers who have probably changed my life just from me watching them, based on these 4 categories of literary, artistic, scientific, and political. So starting with literary, we're going to get into some video essayists, people who write books, that being John Green and Hank Green. Their channel Vlogbrothers is a very thought-provoking, curiosity-driven channel, which I enjoy and that aligns with my values. And so it's given me a lot to think about, and also just a good model for how to think. Some other literary people would include Exurbia, or EXURB1A, a YouTube channel run by some guy who has also written some books. And most of his videos are just stories, narratives, fictions, but it's good. It's just good stories. And sometimes that's all you need, is just a good story. And then some other people would be Jacob Geller, has some incredible videos about many different topics. And it's mostly through the lens of gaming, but isn't necessarily the main idea. But some of his best videos, I think, is one that I actually watched multiple times, which I never watch YouTube videos or even movies multiple times. But Fear of Cold is just an exceptional piece of media, piece of fiction, piece of whatever it is. It's just fantastic. And in that area, there's also some more heavily leaning gaming-esque literary channels, since they're in my L category. Not L as in lost, L as in literary. All these channels are still awesome, but Razbuten has some good videos that are more gaming focused, but still tell good stories, whether it's through mechanics in games, or just weaving together these different thoughts, these different things to create a story. It's all really good. And then another one, and this one's also really good, is Daryl Talks Games, which is honestly more of a psychology channel than anything, because I think that's what he was educated in formally, and so he kind of has a lens of psychology on all the gaming, of basically just breaking it down and then giving it psychological frameworks. Really good. I suppose we can move into artistic, the A, but some artistic channels that I've enjoyed, that I would say are a cut above the rest. Um, Well, Venus Theory of does like music stuff. A lot of his videos are centered around like basically just different like musical concepts, whether it's like how music works or like the real nitty-gritty of like the machines and devices we use to make music, or the like software technology, you know, everything music centered you can pretty much find there. And he has a really nice voice, like good stuff. And in a similar vein, 12 Tone is a little more like focused on basically just like songs and like making sense of different artists, different like, you know, reasons why these components in a song go so well together. Just talks about music and stuff. And then Marcbutevil does histories of bands. So like a lot of grunge, like Nirvana, The Strokes, Weezer. He's done pretty deep dives into like the history of those bands. And it's like history, it's nice to see kind of how these bands originated, what kinds of things were like the real history of what was going on, because you just hear them of their music and like of their fame, and hearing actual accounts of what they did really adds value to the music when you're listening to it, because you're like, you have more context to it, you know? And I think that wraps up the artistic category. And now we'll do scientific. This is one of my favorites. I think all of these are somewhat of my favorite. These are all just my favorite channels that have had some impact on my life. But for scientific, I think a big one would be the Thought Emporium. They make, I don't know, it's like its own biolab. If you gave a biolab to a YouTuber, or to like a group of people, and then they just did whatever they wanted with it, but they still had like that YouTuber brain. So there's like some crazy stuff on there, like biology wise. I don't know how that all works out, but like it's insane what they do. Like using like rat neurons to play Doom is one of their biggest projects they're working on. Like, that's insane. Some other scientific channels besides the many channels I've used to help me get educated on certain topics while I was in classes. Those are quite useful too, and I would certainly look into that as a potential resource for learning, because sometimes professors are just, they're just not doing their jobs, and so you just gotta learn on your own. But some other scientific channels, we'll get back to that, but there's definitely something that I want to talk about. But political is a bigger category, so we're gonna jump right into that. And this is a little more difficult to parse, because politics is difficult to parse, but in its nature, I think it's more closer to philosophy than politics of what I enjoy the most. but they're often coinciding in nature. But there's definitely like a group of people in Toronto who all kind of have connections to each other, that work in the YouTube field, that make good stuff. Like, I think first and foremost, I would want to put CJVX like first. Their work is very, very thought-provoking, and also very well done narrative-wise. Like, it tells a story, the videos, but they also make you just like give you new perspectives about the world, and it's all very well done. So check them out. And then the other like smaller ones that I would slightly say you should check out would be Artchad and Jreg, which is they have a podcast called Horseshoe Theory, and it's mostly like slop, but there are some good, well done episodes that are like actually thought provoking and meaningful. And it's just fun dynamics, you know. It's a little parasocial world that you can jump into if you're interested. And the fun thing about thinking about political YouTubers that I've watched is that as my perspectives have changed, thinking back on who I've watched previously, and then like how I've jumped from different people, different channels that mean different things. It's fun, you know, it's growth or something. But I think just for like personal historical like significance, one of the first philosophy channels that I kind of fell into was Sisyphus 55, and the channel itself I don't think I agree with entirely. Of course, there's nothing I'm going to agree with entirely on any of the people that I have told you to go watch, but as an introductory point, it does very well like surface level stories, narratives of like philosophy and some psychology, politics, that area of thought. But another individual who I remembered and will now recommend would be Ali Sunvia. She also makes that, political, philosophical, psychological, whatever, the P content. But the videos, they're still good, still thought-provoking. And funnily enough, as I continued like growing as a person and watching those videos, I was able to start like understanding her argument and then like coming up with like thoughtful ways that I had disagreed with some points that she put out. And of course, I'm not some bloke who comments on the internet, so I never like put those thoughts into the world, but feeling like an ability to actually engage with the like videos meaningfully in just, in my mind, felt like I had grown as a person. Because before, you're just watching stuff. But whenever you think about it, it's a lot cooler, I suppose. And then, let's see. Yes, I wanted to come back to scientific because I feel like there are a lot of great, like, science YouTubers, because there's this interesting, like, section of YouTube of, like, engineering YouTube, I guess, where it's like the Michael Reeves and the William Osmonds of these individuals who are very popular for, like, you know, making stuff, I guess, or like I did a thing, you know, that kind of area. And they're all cool and all, but there's a level deeper that I enjoy quite a bit more, that being like practical engineering, or like, ooh, what's that one called? His videos are numbered, and it's crazy, because there's like, the channel's been going for quite a long time, and they're about to hit like 365. I think they're at like 322 or something, but ooh, what is it called? It's like, Today I Learned or something? It's something in that nature of, like, education and time frame, you know? Because it's numbered, and so it's like, today I learned number blah, 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 and then cool video. They're a bit lengthier, but it's like a person doing actual cool stuff, with, like, companies like NASA. It's just interesting, like, work. And then real engineering, or practical engineering. I can't remember which one I said, but there's two different channels, real engineering and practical engineering. And practical is also just some guy talking about interesting engineering stuff. And then real engineering, I really like their anatomy of videos, of just breaking down, like, you know, how things work. It's very cool. And then the last one I'll give is 3 Blue 1 Brown. Their videos are very well done. I think the guy even made like a software or something to help make like the things he wanted to make in videos, and then now that's like a standard software to be used by YouTubers, but just like crazy good stuff. So check that out too. There might be a list in the description, there might not be, depends on how I feel. Anyways, toodles.